Just before we continue with our update of where the race is and our tour of race headquarters, if you haven't already seen part 1, go back and take a look. We've got Richard Mason updating us on what the new course is going to be like, that huge Southern Ocean leg, a look at some of the technology, as well as hearing from the race director, Phil Lawrence, as well. And that's all leading up to hopefully getting those big answers from Richard Brisius at the end of this tour. So if you haven't already seen part 1, go ahead. If you have already, enjoy part 2.
If you've never been to the Ocean Race office before, in here, TV controls is where we kind of broadcast everything and we can cut everything together, and our live directors set themselves up in there. It's one of our many editing suites in here. We've got graphics and design and technology. That's Peter Rush running the other way. This is the guy that's head of comms. Up here is where a lot of the hard work gets done. This is looking down onto all the desks, straight into race control as well. There's not really any reason that I ever had to come up here, but when you're up here, it's quite cool. So these are all a lot of little workstations, but also some pretty cool fancy offices and meeting rooms as well. So obviously, if you're going to build a meeting room, what are you going to call it if you're the Ocean Race? Well, this one's Cape of Good Hope. Cape Horn, obviously. And then if you look at these pictures, you might be able to tell which one this one's called. This is the Doldrums, Roaring Forties. What's in the middle here is something quite cool. This is the Ocean Race Library, and it's got an incredible collection of books going all the way back to the race's start. Skip Novak, there you go. Fazizi, that was the Russian entry, all the amazing stories that I've heard over the years. Maiden from Tracy Edwards. I mean, like, look at all this. This is old Whitbread. What are you looking for, Mason? What have you found?
There was a couple of...
Is there one with you in it?
Oh, there's plenty with me in them, but I look a lot younger and a lot skinnier. This is from the 89-90 race. This is fantastic. You go in here, and this is the crew. And the legs they did, look. We should find some good ones here. Saline would be one. Saline Joe, current race owner. And then
that's tracks as well.
Yeah, these are the tracks that they took. So Punta the first time, Punta del Este. No mucking around in those days. See, we're talking about being there. Look at that, all the way to Perth, and Fremantle, down the Gurgelins, and then Fremantle to Auckland. This is when it was Steinlager and Fisher and Paykel. Was it? Who was it? Yeah, Fisher and Paykel and Steinlager. They had those. Remember, there was the photographs of them. And they came into Auckland here, and they were just like. Peter Blake was listening to the weather forecast on the New Zealand radio station, and heard that there was a wind change on the west coast. And set his guys up for the change, and they were set up with a headslin. Fisher and Paykel wasn't. And they beat them to the finish line. Yeah, you see. Gatorade. This will find. Another one, Brisius, Richard. It was Richard's first race, I think, and then he did it on Brooksfield. They nearly sank, and I think he'd had enough from them. That sinking feeling. Yeah, I know that one pretty well. These are the good books. That's where you really get into it. That takes some courage. Kill fell off that one before.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, there's Simon Le Bon. There's a picture of the keel and the capsize.
Someone saw it flip over and phoned the Coast Guard and plucked them all off within half an hour.
The other thing that's amazing about Skip is all of his exploits, but that moustache, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing that you know Skip for. I mean, nobody wears a moustache.
Blake had a pretty groovy tash as well. Daltz as
well. Second place, though.
Daltz said, I mean, what was it? Daltz, where they had a Legends Regatta down here, and I think it was New Zealand Endeavour was here. Daltz went downstairs in Nav Station. He put his hand down the back of the chart table and he found his aviators. They've been sitting there for like 15 years, and he pulled them out.
Really?
Put them on. Yeah, they were still there where he left them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think when the mast fell down on Saramco, Peter Blake, they had to get a new mast to Cape Town, and he remortgaged his house and didn't tell the wife. A few of the guys remortgaged their house to get a new mast sent out to Cape Town. Fortunately, it worked out okay, and they got the funding for it, but the commitment they had to finishing. I mean, the guys they'd take their jeans with them, And on the last day, they take the jeans out of their bags and they put them underneath the squabs on the bunk so they lay on them and press them out. And when they finished a leg, jeans on, shirt on, straight into the pub for about 3 days, I think. I mean, look at this. How cool is this? You know, speaking about the aviators. Recognise that guy?
Oh, wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was Daltz on Flyer. So he was with Connie Richardson. That's where he sort of picked up that winning feeling. And of course, Connie dominated the race. I mean, look downstairs. They had a, you know.
Yeah, that looks quite nice.
They had a breakfast table.
Yeah.
And a nice ashtray for all the cigarettes. I remember smoking downstairs. That was pretty awful, actually. The Flying Dutchman, Connie Richardson. He was pretty legendary. He had a heart attack on board, and he did not want to tell anybody about it in case they took advantage of it. So he kept it quiet.
Sorry, what do you mean? If somebody took advantage of it, as in one of the other teams would push particularly hard, or?
Yeah, he didn't want the crew to know, and he didn't want any of the other teams to know that he'd had a heart attack in case they thought that he wouldn't push hard. So he just kept it quiet, as you do,
Well, no, as you don't. I mean, I don't.
And then you look, here's Maiden. But these are fantastic, seeing all these, photographs and. Yeah. I mean, these guys were all sailmakers, some of them were doctors, builders, plumbers, and they'd give up their lives for 2 years to go and sail around the world and have this massive adventure. They never got paid. I don't know, it is the purest sailing you can do in the world is the ocean race. There's nothing harder and there's nothing better than it. And all of a sudden, I've been fortunate enough to do it all, the match racing, America's Cups, the owner racing, where you're in Sardinia and some of the most beautiful places in the world, lolloping around Caribbean islands on these, absolutely beautiful yachts. And that's one thing, that's a nice day out. But when you finish a leg of the ocean race, it's something totally different. You know that you've done something that very, very, very few people in the world will get to do and experience. And it's just doing it with that group of people that makes it so special. And it's all these books. At the end of the day, they've got nothing to do with boats. It's all people, fantastic, adventurous, some pretty interesting characters in amongst all this lot that have built the foundations of this race going forward. That's why it's so important for us to keep it going. Make sure we keep filling these bookshelves up with lots of great stories.
Right, time to talk to Anne Cecile from the Sustainability Department, who at the moment is being set up in Cape Horn as an office. Hello. Is this all right? What was interesting from my point of view is I was talking to Richard Mason at the lunch event, and I asked him about all the things that are going on with sustainability and with everything right now. I mean, is it possible to, with COVID and everything, also educate and help change the world for the better?
That's a big challenge.
Yeah.
That's a big challenge for sure. But I would say, it might be surprising, but COVID has helped
really
in many ways. Just like putting the world on hold, and take a step back and take some perspective about, the life, what does matter, who does matter, and I really feel in our space that it has changed a lot of things in the good way. I was thinking it's our moment of, us being trying to change the world for the better, to show the world it's possible to change. It's a massive opportunity. First, because we're going in places that nobody knows, and all the scientists of the world, they're looking at us saying, you can take data from that place, I want in, because nobody goes there. It's too much cost and resources to go out there.
We do go a little out of the way. We do tend to, yeah.
What about the big man? What about Richard Brisius?
If I was to ask him whether he would think it was the whole thing about organising this race would be easier if you just said, you know what, sustainability, it's great, but not this time. We'll do it next time. If I was to ask him whether he was tempted for that, what would he say?
What would he say?
Yeah.
I'd like to know his answer. But I think he would say impossible. I don't think we can organize a race now without the topic embedded in the organization. There's too much pressure from the sponsors, from the stakeholders, from the public, from the media, on what are you doing, to contribute. As I'm saying a lot, it's sport first, but sustainability everywhere.
He's not coming. He's not coming. So we had everything set up to be talking to Richard Brisius, and unfortunately he's just texted to say that he can't make it. He had a very thin window when he was available to talk to me, and it's evaporated. So, yeah, I had so many questions, but I don't really know what we're going to do. If you find yourself in Alicante with a spare afternoon and a little bit of time to kill, this is a pretty good thing to do. Climb up to the castle, you get a view over the city, but most importantly, you also get a view out on the water. You've got race headquarters, you've got the 2 VO65s in the harbour, waiting for this very first start line, where the ocean race is going to start in a little over a year's time. And it was really good to hear from Richard Mason and all the technology and the sustainability and how everything's kind of fitting in together. But I'm going to talk to Richard Brisius tomorrow, even if that means dialing in from home and linking up with him, because I can't wait to hear what he's thinking about how the race is going to come together on that final push to the start line.
So, Richard, with everything in terms of the last year and with you kind of trying to steer the ship through all the ups and downs, with everything that's been going on around the world, how close has it been that the race just wasn't going to happen? How near to that point did you get? And indeed, is it going to happen? I mean, is it actually going to happen?
I know we have never been close to that point. And I mean, if you look at the world of sport, several events have been postponed and changed, including this Tokyo Games, of course, that was the major one, and the European Soccer Worlds and so on. And we postponed 1 year, but for it to never happen, no, that's never been the case.
There's no way of looking at the route as it's planned, and of course that Southern Ocean section, and not come to the conclusion that it's going to be incredibly exciting to watch, brutal to take part in, and I mean a really tough experience. How have the sailors responded to that incredible Southern Ocean leg?
Well, most I've spoken to, they respond with like, wow. They get a bit silent, and then they think about it, take it in, and realize that this could be the most epic piece of sailing they will ever do in their lives. And the people who've done it, they know what they're talking about. The people who haven't done it, they are just like mind-boggled by the whole concept of sailing this route. But what we actually have done, and I can tell you this now and kind of announce it today, is that we will allow the VO65 class to have one extra crew member on board for that long leg. So it's up to them, but that could typically then be one of the true Southern Ocean legends or veterans that you bring on board for that leg to add that extra level of experience and when it's most needed. So as in an extra, not as in a swap of the crew, not as in one in, one out, but as in one more pair of hands. Leg, yes. Mm.
So there are going to be some very big names in ocean racing that when they hear of this start thinking, well, maybe I can't do the whole race, but suddenly those skills that I've got in the bottom of the planet, suddenly those skills are now in going to be in big demand.
Yeah, definitely. That's it's not many people who are up on that list, but I'm sure they will be in high demand.
I think everybody that's kind of watching everything get put into place, and the route announcements and the team announcements that are kind of coming out, and I'm sure there's a lot of activity behind the scenes. That's all really exciting. For you, what will make you be, job well done? I've steered this ship well, the team have done well, I'm pleased about where we are. What will put a smile on your face when we get to that start line for the first leg?
Well, I think when we are here at the start line in in 1 year's time, I guess that won't be the time to sort of look back and say, what have we achieved? It will be when we maybe are halfway through the race or at the end of the race. But clearly now we have the whole strategy that we built has been based on that we want more entries than in the last race, and that's why we have the 2 classes. The change of the purpose of the race, where we are now very purpose-driven, wanting to be here to motivate and unite people that want to do the extraordinary, the sailors, and contribute to the healthier planet, is very significant for us. So we are trying to create this rule book for the ocean, because the ocean is the Wild West still. There's no rule book, and from sport we like rules and fair play, so that's what we're pushing a lot for there. So I think that would be a good, if at the start in 1 year's time we have made some further progress on this rule book, that would be pretty cool, the rule book for the ocean.
It seems like everybody that's in headquarters in Alicante, it seems like they are fired up to do it. As a fan of the race, if what you've got coming at us now in a year's time, if it's all there, it's going to be fantastic. And I'm sure a lot of people will join me in saying that you deserve to take at least a couple of minutes, even if we haven't yet got to the finish line. There in Alicante, you deserve to have, a well-deserved drink, put your feet up and enjoy the race as much as we all are set to do.
Yeah, no, I will enjoy the race, and I do enjoy the race when it's happening a lot. So that's where we all get our energy from, right? When seeing these guys and girls taking off and doing the extraordinary out there, and of course I'm very cautious also, talking about that big long leg on the security and safety, and how we can help and support and motivate to inspire everyone to raise the safety bar as high as ever possible, because we know that can always be raised more and more, and we know it's easy to boost these big legs and say they are incredible, but they are real, it's the real stuff going on, so you have to be very aware of that and very cautious. So that's in the back of my mind as well.
I'm sure there's a lot going on in your mind, and I'm sure there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. Thank you very much for being able to catch up with me. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to pin you down in Alicante, but thank you very much for giving me a bit of your time today. I really enjoyed my chance to take a look behind the scenes in race headquarters, and I hope you did too. And I hope you could see what I saw, which was the passion of those people who are making those decisions, and why it is that they've decided to delay where they've needed to, or extend legs, and trying to solve this puzzle as it evolves. We've got about a year to go before the next edition of the race. And as Richard Mason was showing me around the library, it's clear to see that the race is all about the sailors. And I'm really looking forward to seeing and meeting some of the teams and the sailors that are going to be putting on the show in 2023. If you enjoy this look behind the scenes, leave us a like and subscribe. We'll keep the video updates coming as we count down to the next start line in 2023 in Alicante. And we'll see you soon.